There was a man, 52 years old, who wrote to me at 11:48 p.m. His message said, "Doc, I've tried cutting carbs. I've skipped dinners. I've done the fasting thing. I've lost a few pounds, but this lower belly, it won't budge. I feel like I'm doing everything right, but my body's not responding." Sound familiar? If you're over 40, maybe you've been there too. You've made the effort. You've skipped meals. You've said no to dessert. You've even downloaded 3 different fitness apps. But the mirror still shows a stubborn pouch, and the scale barely moves. And worst of all, you start to wonder if something's wrong with your body, or if this is just part of getting older. Here's what I want you to know, right from the start. It's not your fault, and you are not alone. The truth is, losing weight after 40 is not the same as losing weight in your 20s. Your hormones shift, your muscle mass drops, your sleep changes. Even your body's response to sugar and stress becomes completely different. Yet most advice out there? Still built for 25-year-olds with six-pack dreams and unlimited free time. But this video? This one's just for you. Today, I'm going to walk you through why your body holds on to fat differently after 40, especially around the belly. And more importantly, I'll show you how to finally start letting it go. No gimmicks, no starving, no shame. Just simple, science-backed strategies that work with your body, not against it. Because the goal isn't just to lose weight. It's to feel in control again. To feel strong, healthy, and confident in the body you live in, every single day. So let's begin. Part 1. Why belly fat is so stubborn after 40, and what your body's really trying to tell you. The belly fat dilemma, why it's different after 40. Let's talk about the pouch. You know the one. It sits quietly, just below the belly button. Doesn't seem like much until you've tried everything to get rid of it, and it's still there, staring back at you in the mirror. For many people over 40, especially men and women alike, this isn't just about vanity. It's frustrating, deflating, and sometimes it feels like your body is fighting against you. And in a way, it is, but not for the reasons you might think. See, when you were younger, maybe you could clean up your eating for a week or two, and your waistline responded quickly. But now, you skip dessert, cut back on carbs, even hit the treadmill, and the scale barely budges. That middle-age spread, it's not just a myth, it's a metabolic reality. After 40, your body undergoes a quiet but powerful shift. Muscle mass begins to decline, a natural process called sarcopenia, leading to a slower metabolism. Your hormones, especially insulin and cortisol, become less stable. The way your body stores fat changes too, favoring the abdominal area, especially visceral fat, which wraps around internal organs and raises health risks. Here's what makes it even harder. This lower belly fat is often the first place fat goes on, and the last place it comes off. It's your body's insurance zone, and evolution wired us this way for a reason. Back when food was scarce, storing fat near the core helped protect vital organs. Problem is, today's world is never short on calories, but your biology hasn't caught up. Let me give you a real example. I had a patient, a 48-year-old man, used to be athletic in his 30s. Life happened. A busy job, 2 kids, not much time to train. He told me, "Doc, I've dropped 10 pounds, but I still look like I haven't lost anything." When I asked him where he was seeing changes, he said, "My face is thinner, my shoulders are coming back, but this belly." Step 1. Identify the obvious offenders in your diet. Let's start simple. Before you think about cutting carbs, fasting, or overhauling your entire lifestyle, take one honest step back and ask yourself this question. What am I doing that I already know isn't helping me? And I don't mean the complicated stuff. I'm talking about the obvious offenders. The habits that deep down you already suspect are slowing you down. Because here's a truth most people over 40 forget. You don't need to fix everything overnight. You just need to start. And sometimes, starting means looking at what's right in front of you. Let me give you a real example. A woman in her early 50s came to see me last year. She'd tried every diet trend you can name. Keto, fasting, low fat, high fat. She kept saying, "I just don't understand. I've cut so many things out, but my weight won't move." So we went through her daily habits, one by one. Turns out, every night at 9:30, she was winding down with 2 glasses of wine and a pint of low-fat ice cream. Not because she was weak or lazy, but because it was comforting, familiar, a little reward after a long day. But here's the thing. Those 2 seemingly small choices added up to an extra 600 to 800 calories a night, mostly from sugar and alcohol. Once she swapped that habit for a cup of herbal tea and a high-protein snack, her weight started to move, without changing anything else. Sometimes the problem isn't what we're not doing. It's the stuff we keep doing and pretend doesn't count. So what are the usual suspects? Start with alcohol. For many over 40, it's become a daily ritual. 1 glass of wine leads to 2. And not only does alcohol add empty calories, it messes with your metabolism, your sleep, and your hunger hormones the next day. Then there's the hidden sugar, in sauces, dressings, coffee creamers, flavored yogurt, even ketchup, blockers of fat loss. Hidden carbs and portion distortion. There's something sneaky going on in a lot of people's diets, and it's not what you think. Most folks I talk to after 40 will proudly tell me, "I don't eat junk food," or "I've cut out sugar." But when we dig a little deeper, we almost always uncover the same silent culprits: hidden carbs and portion distortion. And these 2 together, they can quietly sabotage your weight loss even if you think you're doing everything right. Let me show you what I mean. A 46-year-old man I worked with once told me his diet was really clean. Breakfast was oatmeal, lunch was brown rice with chicken, dinner was pasta and veggies. Sounds healthy, right? But when we actually measured his portions, he was eating 2 full cups of oatmeal, 2 cups of rice, and a giant bowl of pasta daily. That added up to well over 300 grams of carbs a day, way more than his body needed. His meals weren't bad, but they were out of balance. He wasn't gaining weight because of a lack of discipline. He was gaining because of a lack of awareness. Here's the thing about carbs. They're not evil. Your body needs them, especially for energy and brain function. But carbs are incredibly easy to overeat, especially the refined ones like white rice, pasta, and bread. Why? Because they digest quickly, don't keep you full for long, and don't send the same "I'm full" signals to your brain that protein and fiber do. You might feel satisfied in the moment, but an hour later, you're hungry again. That's the trap. And when you're over 40, your body doesn't buffer those extra carbs like it used to. Muscle mass is lower, insulin sensitivity is reduced, which means your body is more likely to store excess carbs as fat, especially around the belly. You don't have to be eating donuts and cookies to struggle with fat gain. You can be overeating clean, wholesome foods and still be in a calorie surplus every single day. So how do you fix this? Start by checking your portion sizes, especially for carbs. The clean eating trap. Why healthy doesn't mean weight loss. One of the most frustrating things I hear from people over 40 is this: "But I'm eating healthy and I'm still not losing weight." And honestly, I believe them. Most of the time, they are trying. They've swapped soda for smoothies, chips for granola bars, and ice cream for Greek yogurt. They're avoiding fast food, cooking more at home, even following recipes from fitness blogs, and yet, nothing. The scale won't move, the belly fat won't budge. They feel stuck. Why? Because eating healthy and eating for fat loss are 2 very different things. Let me explain. I once worked with a woman named Linda, 55 years old. She kept a food diary religiously. Her meals looked great on paper. Fruit smoothies in the morning, avocado toast for lunch, salad with grilled chicken for dinner. But when we analyzed the numbers, her healthy smoothie had 50 grams of sugar from bananas, dates, almond milk, and honey. Her avocado toast, though made with whole grain bread and olive oil, packed over 600 calories. And her salad? Covered in a dressing that added 300 more. In total, Linda was eating over 2,500 calories a day without realizing it. She wasn't overeating because she was careless. She was overeating because she trusted the labels and headlines, not the numbers. Here's the trap. We live in a world where marketing has hijacked the word healthy. Food companies know how to use it to sell more. A granola bar with 18 grams of sugar? All natural. A yogurt loaded with sweeteners? Probiotic rich. A protein shake with barely any protein? Plant-based and clean. The problem is many of these products, while not junk, are still highly processed, calorie-dense, and sugar-heavy. For someone over 40, whose metabolism has slowed and insulin sensitivity is lower, these kinds of foods can quietly push fat gain, even if they carry a health halo. So what can you do? Game changer for fat loss over 40. Protein first. The game changer for fat loss over 40. If there's one change I could convince every man and woman over 40 to make, it would be this. Put protein at the center of your plate. Every meal, every snack. Not because protein is trendy or because it builds bodybuilder muscles, but because, quite simply, it's the most powerful and most underused tool for sustainable fat loss after 40. Let me show you why. Your metabolism at this stage of life is no longer as forgiving as it was in your 20s or 30s. Muscle mass has likely declined, which means you burn fewer calories at rest. Your body becomes less responsive to insulin, making it easier to store fat, especially around the belly, and harder to feel full after meals. That's where protein comes in. It helps reverse those patterns on 3 crucial levels. First, protein protects your muscle. When you're trying to lose weight, especially after 40, you don't just want to lose, you want to lose fat, not muscle. Muscle is metabolically active. It keeps your metabolism higher, your joints stronger, and your body younger. Without enough protein, your body will happily burn through muscle to get energy. That's not what you want. Second, protein keeps you full. It has the highest satiety score of any macronutrient, which means it helps you stay satisfied longer, lowers cravings, and naturally reduces your overall calorie intake without forcing yourself to starve. In simple terms, a breakfast with 30 grams of protein keeps you from raiding the pantry at 11 a.m. Let me give you a real-world example. I had a patient, 60 years old, who swore he was always hungry. He'd eat oatmeal for breakfast, salad for lunch, and still feel snacky all day long. We changed just one thing. Added eggs to breakfast, chicken to lunch, and a high-protein Greek yogurt as an afternoon snack. Within a week, he said, "I don't feel like I'm dieting anymore. I just feel satisfied." That's the power of protein. But here's the catch. Most people's belly fat won't budge, and the top-down pattern of fat loss. Why that belly fat won't budge. The top-down fat loss pattern. Let's talk about the most stubborn part of fat loss, the lower belly. You know the spot. You've made progress, your face looks leaner, your arms have definition again, even your chest and upper abs are starting to come back. But that little pouch below your belly button, still there, still soft, still frustrating. And maybe you're wondering, am I doing something wrong? Or is this just how my body is now? The truth is, that belly fat you're struggling with is not just stubborn, it's strategic. Your body is wired to hold on to it, and not because it's trying to make you miserable, but because, from a biological perspective, it's trying to protect you. Here's how it works. Fat loss doesn't happen evenly across the body. In fact, it tends to follow a very specific pattern, what I call the top-down approach. When you lose fat, the first place it typically shows is your face, then your neck, then your arms, chest, upper abs. The lower belly, hips, and thighs, they come last. Especially for men over 40, the lower belly becomes the body's most stubborn fat storage zone. For women, it's often the hips and lower abdomen as well. Why is that? It comes down to blood flow, hormone sensitivity, and fat cell density. Simply put, the fat cells in your lower belly are more resistant to being emptied. They have fewer receptors for fat-burning hormones like adrenaline, and they tend to be more insulin-sensitive, meaning they hold on to fat more tightly. Add to that a natural decline in testosterone and growth hormone as you age, and it's no wonder that belly fat sticks around longer than you'd like. Let me tell you about a client named George, 57 years old. He'd lost nearly 25 pounds over 6 months, without crash dieting, just steady habits. He felt better, moved better, slept better. But he still had a pouch, and every time he looked in the mirror, it discouraged him. So we took side-by-side photos from when he started. That's when it hit him. Sleep, timing, and consistency, the unsung heroes of fat loss. There's a part of the fat loss conversation that almost no one talks about, and yet, for people over 40, it might be the most important piece of all. I'm talking about sleep, timing, and consistency. 3 factors that don't get nearly as much attention as calories or cardio, but quietly determine whether your body holds on to fat or finally lets it go. Let's start with sleep. It's not just about rest. After 40, sleep becomes a form of medicine, one that regulates your metabolism, repairs muscle, balances your hormones, and even controls your cravings. When you don't get enough of it, or your sleep is poor quality, your cortisol levels rise. That's your stress hormone. And elevated cortisol, especially over time, leads to more belly fat, more hunger, and more fatigue. On top of that, your appetite hormones go haywire. You crave sugar. You feel hungrier, even when you've eaten enough. It's not a lack of willpower, it's biology. And when your body's exhausted, it clings to fat, especially in the midsection. Let me share an example. Tom, a 53-year-old teacher, came to me feeling stuck. He was eating better, walking daily, but his weight hadn't budged in 6 weeks. When we talked about his routine, he admitted he was staying up until midnight, often eating dinner at 10 p.m., and waking up groggy at 6 a.m. Just 6 hours of interrupted sleep night after night. We made one change. He moved his dinner earlier to 7:30, stopped eating after 8 p.m., and aimed to be in bed by 10:30. Within 3 weeks, not changing food or exercise, his belly started to shrink. And he said, "For the first time, I don't feel like I'm pushing a boulder uphill." Now let's talk timing. Your body is on a rhythm, a natural clock called the circadian rhythm. And the way you eat, sleep, and move either supports that rhythm or disrupts it. Eating late at night sets patterns it can trust. And once you've built those patterns, it's time for the final question. The one that determines how far you want to go. How lean is lean enough? What's the real trade-off between looking your best and living your life? Up next, the worth it question. Sacrifice versus satisfaction after 40. The worth it question. Sacrifice versus satisfaction. At some point on your weight loss journey, especially after 40, you'll come to a quiet crossroads. It doesn't show up on a scale. It doesn't happen in a gym. It happens in your mind when you start to ask, how far do I really want to go? And what am I willing to give up to get there? This is what I call the worth it question. It's not about giving up. It's about choosing with clarity. Choosing what's worth your time, your energy, your effort, and what's not. You see, most people believe that getting leaner always means getting healthier, but that's not always true. Yes, losing excess fat can improve blood pressure, lower your risk of diabetes, and reduce joint pain. But chasing extremely low body fat, especially after 40, comes with trade-offs. More restriction, more rules, less flexibility, and often less joy. The closer you get to that last 5 to 10 pounds, the more precise and yes, sometimes rigid you need to be. The question becomes, is it worth it for you? Let me tell you about Julia, 58 years old. She lost 30 pounds over the course of a year, felt better than she had in decades, and reversed her prediabetes. But she came to me one day upset. She'd hit a plateau, still had some belly fat, and wondered if she should cut carbs even more or start skipping dinners. We talked. I asked her, "Do you feel good in your clothes? Are you sleeping better? Is your energy back?" She smiled and said yes to all three. Then I asked, "Do you really want to give up your Friday pasta night with your husband just to see one more ab?" Her answer was instant, no. And that was her breakthrough. The truth is, you don't need to have a six-pack to be healthy. You don't need to eat perfectly to be in control. And you don't need to chase numbers that don't match your real goals. What most people over 40 want isn't perfection, it's freedom. To feel good. Next video, I'll show you how to recognize the signs and how to reverse it naturally starting today. Thanks for being here. Your health is the foundation for everything you do. Protect it. If you found value in today's video, tap like, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe for more. We're here to guide you through the science, the facts, and the tools to win your fight against obesity.